Hi everyone, my name is Kretz and this is another review of FREEWELL filters. As you see, I have two boxes here, and this is even not all that I've reviewed. I'll leave links down below in the description to this product and of course to my previous reviews of these filter sets, because they're really nice and I enjoy reviewing them. And just recently I received another box from FREEWELL, and that is this. This is a new iteration of their quick swap magnetic filter system. There was an M1 version, initial one, and this is M2, the new thing. And today we're not going to be only reviewing this particular set, but we'll of course compare it to what I reviewed earlier, and we'll get into classification of all their filters and compare them and see what they are about. But before that, I want to give you two disclaimers. Well, first, yes, the company sent these filters to me for free, but they never asked a single word and never told me a single word how I should make my reviews, what to tell about them and anything. Not a single word. They just give me the product and, ask for a review. So this is totally independent review. It's unbiased, and I just share with you my honest opinions and my true experience with these filters. And of course the company never paid me any money, so this is totally independent review. And the second, but maybe weird one, but I want to tell you right away, we're not going to be diving deep into the picture quality. And why is that? Well, first, because it is excellent. The build quality and the picture quality is excellent, and I've told that in my initial review of this set, and I've showed you there my detailed tests for photos and videos, and I compared it with the cheap filters. So anything that you want to know about the picture quality of FREEWELL filters, you can find in the review of this set. Of course, I will leave all the links down below in the description. So we'll be concentrating more on the functionality, because in build quality department and in picture quality, image quality department, all FREEWELL products are really good, and they are optically fantastic. So there's no need to do any additional tests. I've tested them all, but they are all as perfect as this one that I showed you in details in that review. So we'll of course talk a little bit about the special things about picture quality and of course the peculiarities of build qualities, but most of all you just must know that filters are very sharp, they are made of metal, tightly assembled and mostly convenient. They may have some very minor flaws, of which I'll tell you a little bit later, but overall all these filters are very fantastic value for money. And the company also gives a limited lifetime warranty, so imagine how sure must the manufacturer be of his product, and so am I, that they give limited but lifetime warranty. So we're going to be diving deep into the functionality, and about picture quality and build quality, it's always excellent. Now, first I want to tell you a little bit of a story of my cooperation with FREEWELL. When they first sent me this box, these versatile magnetic VNDs, I was amazed with the quality. I made a review and I was satisfied, and I left this box for myself. I've been using these filters for several years now and I'm fully satisfied. But there are really minor flaws, some of which of course are solved in this box, which I'll show you later. But before this and this, between this and this, I received another set and I was a little bit confused because that was different. The build quality and picture quality was excellent as well, but I was confused with the functionality. And when I received this third box, unfortunately I don't have the second one any longer, but when I received this I was confused again, because all these three sets are really different in functionality. So, to solve this problem, I just want to make the classification first, so that you have an idea how they differ, these filters, who are they for and what are they for. So let's start our review with the classification. So the first, the simplest, probably the cheapest, but still very good that they have, is the simple threaded filters, threaded VNDs. And that is just the filter that you screw on top of your lens, and it uses the single diameter, So the filters have different diameters that are built in, so you should really use different filters for different diameter of different lenses. So it's not very versatile, but it's simple, it's cheap, and it's of course of high quality. and there's variable VND available. So if you are just starting out with your photography and videography, you might be really satisfied with simple threaded VNDs, just for general purpose and to try them out and find out what you really need in future. So threaded VNDs is probably the simplest that they have. Then actually comes this quick swap system. There was the first iteration and this is the second one. I didn't have the privilege to examine the first one, but this second is very good, and of course in details we'll talk about that later. But to be brief and to follow up the classification, this is the thing where you have the ring that is screwed on top of your lens, and then you magnetically stack your filter on top of the ring. So it's more versatile because you can switch different filters. But it also has some disadvantages, of which I'll tell you later in details, but this is a little bit more expensive, but still very affordable, very convenient and much more versatile than simple threaded filters. So that's, let's say, number 2 in the lineup. Then we probably have this set, which is versatile magnetic VNDs. So this can be used with different filters. It has the base filter for mist VND or just for simple VND, for glow VND, and you can stack VNDs 2 to 5 stops, 6 to 9 stops, CPLs on top of it. So it's much more versatile than the previous one. And you can use almost any types of filters with this, except for the slide-in gradual filters, which are reserved for the next system, of which I'll tell you in a few seconds. But these filters are two-sided, so you can turn around the filter and have CPL, circular polarizer, on one side, and then turn around and have ND on the other side. So this is very versatile and convenient to have it all in your pocket. And of course you can stack VNDs with mist and glow filters, so to have a nice cinematic effect and VND at the same time. So all in all, this is much more versatile than the previous two, but it has some flaws, and these are this filter system is barely used with the lens hood. Yes, in my review I showed you how you could possibly use it with lens hood, but it's inconvenient and it's unreliable. And of course the lens cap is quite inconvenient because it has some smooth edges and it's difficult to take it off, but I'll show it to you later and compare it with this brilliant system here. And as well, it has quite a weird bag comparing to this new one, which I'll compare later as well. But anyway, this might be just the holy grail, just the middle between, this simpler and cheaper and the really comfortable and convenient system. So this is just the middle ground for anyone who wants to use filters. And then finally we come to the K2, which I reviewed in my previous review. And the K2 is really the ultimate system. It's the biggest, it's the most expensive, but it's also the most versatile. But at the same time, as I've told you, it's the biggest, the heaviest and the clumsiest actually. So it's not so convenient for day-to-day photography or videography if you're not professional. It's not so comfortable to carry around, but still a very, very good system. And of course it has some advantages, one of which is you can use slide-in filters, which gives you even more versatility. And so you can stack VND, snow, glow and gradient filters and light streaks filters for really cinematic look. So it's the most versatile of all their systems. You can stack rounded circular filters with the rectangular gradient slide-in filters. Then you have fixing screws on it to fix at different angles. And the filter system is really easily swapped between the lenses. So when you are really into videography and have different lenses with different filter thread diameter, this K2 system is really easy to just, with a touch of 2 fingers to swap from one lens to another for different lens sizes and with using stepping rings. So that K2 system is really most versatile and most comfortable for cinematography, for videography. But of course, all this you can watch in my previous review. And finally, in this lineup, somewhere in between there stands the another set which I'm actually expecting to arrive just in a few days, and that one, let's keep it secret for now. That one system might be really the holy grail for me, because it looks like, you know, the absolutely brilliant idea and the best set of all that I've told you about. And I'm really waiting for it, and of course I'll do the review, but we'll save the details for later. But that might be the ideal filter system, just another one between all of these. And to sum up, with this system, with the versatile magnetic, you can hardly stack filters on top of another. Well, except for the base, VND and mist and glow filters, they have the base and NDs on top of it, but additionally on top of it, you can hardly stack filters. Unlike this quick swap, but I'll show it to you later, here you can stack filters actually. So all the systems that I described to you, they are different in versatility, in functionality, and of course they are aimed at different audiences. But all of them are very high build quality and very high optical quality. And additionally, I should say that this M2 system is actually interchangeable with the M1, so you can use the filters themselves from one system to another and vice versa. So that's a good move, you know, not to leave behind the users of the M1, and just so that they could continue and upgrade to M2. And now with the disclaimers and the classification out of the way, let's now get into this box and do the actual unboxing and see what's inside here.
So here's our box, not just a simple box, but a really branded box as always, the branded package, the branded duct tape, very reliably packed, and you see it's not as easy to open. And it all tells very good things about the company, because they really care. So here's our beautiful box with imprinting, with a picture of the product. And the box is sealed, and we see the whole nomenclature, so what's inside. It's all written here, and the product is just beautiful, so it really tells how much care the company puts into their product, and that's really huge respect to them for that. So what's inside? There's our beautiful package, and of course, as usual, a paperwork, a card with instructions, the carabiner and the stickers, and of course the filter guide with the description of all the filters. And here's our very nice, how we call this, carry case, the pouch. Looks like leather, it's very firm, and it's hard, and it's reliable. I don't think you can seriously damage your filters carrying it inside. Very beautiful texture with the brand name on it. You see, it's just such a stylish product. I really dig it, and the design and everything. And the zipper is a very nice idea. Anti-dust, anti-splash. When you open it, it just, you know, opens up like this. Very comfortable and easy to use. There's your base ring, which you screw on top of your lens, and then to it you actually magnet all the filters, of which you have -3 stops just ND, -6 stops ND, -10 stops ND, your CPL, circular polarizing filter. And for the first time in all the sets, I see UV filter. I've never met UV filters among all the FREEWELL kits that I reviewed, but you know, UV is nice just for your lens protection from dust and moisture and the touch, you see. So everything is fine, and you have spare pouches, and there's our lens cap with, you know, one of the filters here. Magnets very nicely, very firmly. A nice new ring. This is the invention in this option, you know, the ring on the cap, the holding ring, and I'll tell you later what it is actually for. Very useful thing. I would say actually underrated ring. So here's how it looks. Very stylish, metallic, nice texture and structure, reliable, very high quality product, and it's, you know, really good feeling. There is something to pay for, actually. Such quality is always welcome. Very nice pouches here, you know, this space inside. It has some spare space if you want additional filters, which are actually available by the company. So all in all, very nice product, high quality, very stylish. The usability is at top level, so I'm really satisfied. Brilliant product.
And now when we know what's inside, let's talk about it in more details. So what is this system about? Actually, this Quick Swap M2 system sits right between the simpler and more sophisticated systems. And one of the most important things about it is that it is very, very slim and very thin. The holding ring is very thin, and the filters themselves are really, really thin, which saves up size, weight, and overall usability is better with the thinner filters. And now let's open and see about how they are designed. They actually, comparing to the other systems, the company actually redesigned the edge of the filters. I'll probably show it to you on a B-roll. But if we have the lens cap, say, and of course the filter, any kind of filter, the edges are now more edgy. So the sides of the filters are now more edgy, and unlike this system, this can easily be taken off, put on and off really easily. And to show you that, of course, I'll put it on my lens. And my system is of 82 millimeters, and I only have just one lens with 82 millimeters. All my other lenses have smaller diameter, but we'll use this lens, which is Sigma 20 millimeters 1.8, old but brilliant lens. I have a brief review of it, just watch it on my channel. So, well, first I need to take off my lens hood. We'll use it, and I'll show you how to use it later. And just screw, oh no, this is UV filter, which is also a surprise. I've never had UV filters in any of other previous sets, but this set actually has UV filter. It's not so usable. With modern cameras, you really do not need ultraviolet filter, but especially with lenses like this, with bulbous and very big front element, this UV filter can protect your lens from dust, moisture and scratch. So it's a good touch. You can leave this filter all the time on your camera. Now this is the little ring. Well, it's so thin you can barely see it. You see, you don't even realize that there's a holding ring on top of this lens, because this is very, very slim. And let's find some filter. Well, any type of filter. They are easily magneted, and they will never fall, even if you shake very hardly. Easily, and they are so nicely edgy that you can easily take it on and off. Unlike the previous system, like with this, it's really harder to put on and off the filters, but it's really good. So one of the real advantages and improvements of this particular system is using these nice edges. And here's the lens cap, and lens cap is also taken on and off really easily by your hands. With previous system, the edges were really smooth and practically the same on the holding ring, the filter and the cap. And these are three different edges. Just take a look. If you see, I hope. These can easily be taken on and off. This is really huge advantages, because I had some difficulties. I love this system, but I had difficulties with putting caps on and filters on and off. And one particular thing that I haven't seen other reviewers talking about, really, am I the only one to talk about it? This ring on the cap. Yeah, anyone realizes there's a nice ring to take the cap off, of course. But why do you need it when you have these edges that are similarly good? And some reviews are also, laugh and make jokes that this is like the tin opener, for the preserved products, like preserved products cap. And yeah, that's a funny joke, but that's not what it's meant for. And now I give you the secret. Why did they do this ring? And first I figured it out myself, really. I never knew that. I figured it out myself. But then later I read about it on the company's website or somewhere. So the guy from the company actually told the same and confirmed what I figured out. And this ring is actually for using the lens hood. And why is that? You see, as I've told you, these filters, unlike this one, this is hard to use with the lens hood, and say K2 system is unusable with the lens hood at all. But this filter, yeah, you can use lens hood. Fits perfectly. But how do you keep your cap inside? All right, I can throw it in and it will magnet, right? throwing it in, putting it on is no problem, but how do I get it out of here? It's inside the lens hood. I cannot take it out. And this is where the ring comes into play. That's what it is done for. You have the ring and you can easily open the lens from within the lens hood. So this ring is made for using with the lens hood. It's not, you know, to make funny jokes about tin opener. Yeah, this is just for using with the lens hood. In my opinion, this is a really brilliant solution of which nobody's actually talking about. So it makes more convenient and quicker operation overall, these nice edges and this ring and so on. And what else is better? I actually like this bag better than previous one. Let me just briefly show it to you. Oh, what a nice sound. These and the K2, as far as I remember, they have these square boxes. I would call it not even a pouch, I would call it a case. It's very hard, yeah, it's very reliable, and it has a high quality and it's beautifully designed, but it's not really convenient. First, you have these holes in here where can, you know, drops of water get, or dust or anything, or some insects can get in if you are shooting outside. And it's not really convenient with this piece when you open it. Yes, you pull it and you have all your filters, but they can, oh shit, fall out if you suddenly, you know, rotate the box. They can fall out and it's unreliable, and I'm not really comfortable, you know, to get these filters. You can get your fingers all over it, although they are quite resistant to stains, but still not the best solution. Overall, for its time it was great, but now I don't think it's so good. When I met this one, I really love this box way better, and I would ask FREEWELL to create these boxes, these type of boxes for all the other systems. So if you do these boxes for these filters, I truly believe that it would be much more convenient. Well, first, it's rounded, because with this one, believe it or not, you can really hurt yourself. These are really hard and pointy edges. If you hit it, it can really hurt. And this is rounded, so it's much safer. No problem here. So it is beautifully designed, as I've told you. And it's more convincing with the zippers. No insects getting inside, no moisture, no dust. And it really looks like the dust and moisture resistant zippers. You see, the zipper itself is covered with the cloth. So this is so way more convenient, and when you open it, you have all your filters in front of you and nothing falls out while you're taking it out, unlike with this box. And it has a spare place for the filters, so I really like this bag much more, and I'd prefer these type of bags for any sets of filters. So a little bit of flaw with these filters is it does not have VND. That might be a catastrophe for videographers, because this system actually has only fixed value ND filters. It's nice that you have 3, 6, 10 stops of fixed value NDs, but you don't have variable ND filters. So this set is, of course, it can be used for anything, but I think it's mostly for photography, when you can change the light amount with the shutter speed or with the aperture, more than in videography, where you want to keep your shutter speed at the same value. So the VND is really lacking here, but still it's very versatile, very convenient set. And also, you should be really careful with using CPLs. With the previous system, the base is kept really firmly, but here, if you use the CPL filters, say this is CPL, well, it's not, but anyway, the screw is quite soft, so if you turn the CPL, you only want to turn it clockwise and adjust it there. But if you want to adjust it counterclockwise, you can easily unscrew the base with the filter. So what you of course don't want to be doing. So if you want to rotate CPL to get the desired effect, you better turn it only clockwise, so not to unscrew and lose your filters. So this is the basic operation. Very nice filters, very comfortable. It's really good that the encryption on the lens tells you not only the classical name VND64, or what is it, 64, but it also says -6, which means -6 stops of light. So it's really easy to understand what this filter is about. And they're really good. And so overall, as I've told you, the classification, all their sets have some pros and cons to every model, to every iteration, any version, any set of filters. But they are all really good optically and build quality, but have their peculiarities. And now let's talk about something else, considering the picture quality and usability. But to understand and truly show it to you, we'll shoot it outside. So just let's walk, let's find some nice weather, and let's walk outside. So here's me in a bright daylight. It's not as bright as I hoped and as it was about an hour ago, but while I was packing my things up, it's actually turned a little bit cloudy. But still, here I am with the full-frame camera, Canon 6D Mark II, and the 16-35 f2.8 USM L lens. So this is a full-frame setup, and oh, the wind is blowing. Hope it doesn't spoil the sound, but still, it is bright enough that you need the ND filter really, because f2.8 is really too bright for standard exposure, which is in my case 1/50th of a second, you know, for 25 frames per second frame rate. So I really need an ND filter, and I have it on my lens here. And the lens is 16-35, as I've told you, and this is, at least on Canon system, as far as I remember, the widest angle lens that you can have with the threaded filters. So that you can, you know, thread the filter on the frontal element. There are wider lenses, but they are either fisheye or something like 18 to 11 to 24, which you cannot thread filter on the front size. So this is the widest angle that you can have on full frame, and let's see if it vignettes or not. So the FREEWELL company actually claims that it's not going to be vignetting on full frame 16mm, and as you see here, it actually doesn't. You don't see any vignetting, I believe, in the corners, so they are clear, not dark and stuff. But there's a little bit of quirk to that. So actually with the setup that I use, it does not vignette. But what's the secret? The secret is actually that I'm currently using an electronic image stabilization. This lens doesn't have optical image stabilization, and my Canon body doesn't have IBIS, so internal image stabilization. So I'm actually using the electronic one, and the electronic image stabilization at its, you know, first segment, it has like two options, but the first option actually cuts off a bit of a picture, which is about 10%. So you see, within the margin of 10%, there is no vignetting actually. But let's now turn off the image stabilization and see what's going on with the picture. I'll try to keep still so that you clearly see the difference. Now I've turned the electronic image stabilization off, and you see a little bit of darker corners, right? Every corner has a little bit of darkness. Let me get up this nice hill. And let's see about the sky, because we need a bright, plain sky to see the corners clearly. And I believe you see a little bit of darkness in the corners. And what is that? You know, actually, if we zoom a little bit, like say for about this, it's right about 19mm. We get rid of the vignetting altogether, but at 16mm there is vignetting, and this is not that slight vignetting that we get from our regular lenses sometimes, but it's quite a harsh dark corners. But again, there is a secret to that. It's actually not the filter, and I'll show it to you later and prove it to you. But what is that? It's actually the stepping ring, because my 16-35 L lens is the first iteration of the lens, which has 77mm filter thread, and the version 2 and version 3 have 82mm. So on my version 1 with 77mm, I had to use stepping ring for my 82mm filter thread. So actually there are two rings before the filter itself, which is the stepping ring from 77 to 82, or actually from 82 to 77. Then the base ring, the magnetic ring to have this filter, and then the filter on top of it. So these corners that you have, they are actually not from the lens or not from the filter, they are from the stepping ring. So if you zoom a little bit, there is no vignetting, but at 16 millimeters, you don't want to be using the stepping rings. And let's just make an experiment and try this to, fit this filter without the stepping ring. So it's so freaking uncomfortable, but now I unscrewed the stepping ring and I simply try to hold the filter right in front of the lens. You see, I can, if I can fit it clearly right in place, you see that there must be no vignetting, and of course it might be my mistake, but you see, if I take away the filter, it's overexposed. So I'm just holding the filter right in front of the lens as it is supposed to be, with the appropriate filter diameter. So it's actually not the problem, and the filter actually adds no vignette at 16 millimeters. Well, there's another view, because it's really hard to hold the filter in front of the lens and looking at the camera while it's turned to your face. So here am I, you see 16 millimeters, let's look at the sky, and I'm trying to hold the filter as close and as, precise as I can, but it's really... Keep in mind that if you actually thread the filter, screw it in, it's gonna be even about 1.5 millimeters closer to the lens. So it's even less of vignetting. So I guess it's not giving any vignetting at full frame with the 16 millimeters at all. Just need to use the proper filter diameter. By the way, I'm shooting here with a 6 stops light reduction ND filter from this Quick Swap M2 filters kit. And it's, as you know from the name, it's the fixed ND filter. It's not variable ND filter. So if it's much brighter or much, darker, I should fix the settings on my camera, not fix the ND. And with this quick swap filter systems, you don't get VNDs, variable ND filters, only the fixed numbers. So my kit has the -3 stops, -6 stops, and even 10 stops. Additionally, you can stack each on top of the other, which we'll probably test later, but just bear in mind that if you need variable ND filters, which is of course most comfortable and important for video work like this, you'll need to go for 3 other options from FREEWELL company. So of 4 options that they are presenting now, actually 3 of them have the VNDs, but this quick swap filter system doesn't have VND. You need to go with the threaded VNDs, or with the versatile VND system, or even with the K2 magnetic VND, which is more suitable for cinematography. It's more expensive, and it is much more versatile, and it's bigger. But the simple threaded VNDs from FREEWELL company must be perfect for these kinds of tasks. But with these quick swap systems, you only have fixed VND filters. But still, this one filter, the -6 stops, is actually quite good. And even with this bright daylight sun, the 6 stops is maybe the best that you can have. So probably the fixed -6 ND, -6 EV ND filter, it must be perfect. You might not be needing variable ND filter, but of course if you have it, you are much more versatile with darker, places, or brighter places. Anyway, but I'm shooting it all with this 6 stops in the filter, this whole video outside, and 6 stop is pretty much, good enough. Now here's another test for you. Like previously I was shooting with the full frame camera, and I've told you the setup, and now I'm shooting with my old trusted Canon SL2, which is 200D, with the old and also trusted EF-S 10 to 22 millimeters lens, which is actually right the equivalent of 16 to 35 on a full frame. But now, instead of shooting myself, let's turn around and see about vignetting in this position, which must be really easier. Let's see about the bright sky. So, what are we seeing with the filter? And it also has the 77 millimeters filter thread, so I had to use stepping ring from 82 to 77. And now let's see, there's a little bit of darkness in the corners as well. As you see, in the very corners, you really see the same darkness. So if I zoom in a little bit, just maybe like about 11.5 millimeters. You see 10 millimeters, 11.5, no more than that. Just 1 or 2 millimeters on the wide angle lens actually makes a lot of difference. So we also get rid of the vignetting. So it's the same story. You should not use stepping rings either on the full frame or on APS-C if your equivalent focal length is about 16 millimeters. So from say like 11.5 on a crop sensor or about 18 or 19 on a full frame, vignetting is not going to be a problem even with the stepping ring. But the widest angles, you better off with the proper filter thread size. And now let's get into something really interesting. Recently I posted a video review of this lens that I'm shooting with right now, which is Sigma 20mm f1.8, and I pointed out that it has quite a significant vignette, the lens itself. But actually there was more than that, and the vignetting was due to additional ND filter that I had to use in a very, very bright daylight. But I only had 77mm thread VND filter, and this lens has 82mm. So I actually needed to use the stepping down ring or the stepping up ring. Oh, where is the sun? So I had to use the 77mm filter on an 82mm of diameter through the thread, so it actually must cover less of the the field of view. So and the additional vignetting there should possibly be contributed by these inappropriate not proper size of a filter thread. But now that was before I received this kit for a review, which is 82mm thread, so it's proper for this lens. So, and as you see, this lens is 1.8, so it gives much more blurred background, the bokeh that we all love, but of course it's a much narrowed field of view. But still, as far as I see, it now gives less of vignetting, which is really, really good news, because it's always good to know that this already vignetting lens actually gives less vignette with the proper filter size, and this quick swap filter actually has very, very thin base ring as well as the filter ring itself. So now let's turn around and see. Let me see the proper picture like this. I see, this is quite a nice picture. Of course, it keeps vignetting because the lens vignettes itself, but as far as I see, it's way less than it was with my previous review. And of course, if we close down to f2.8, no vignetting at all. But yeah, we want to use it at 1.8. That's why we buy such bright lenses. So again, this nice lens gives less vignetting with proper filter size. So it's a nice relief after my initial review. Now let's turn around again and see. This is a really nice lens and very, very nice filters. By the way, I'm not using electronic image stabilization here because 20mm is already much narrower than 16, and I still want you to, see the wide frame. But just in case you wonder, you see no vignetting like this without electronic image stabilization. But let's now try and turn it on. So now the picture is a little bit closer again, and it's really steady. The stabilization works just fine. So I believe no vignetting. There was no vignetting. It must be even less, with about 10% of the picture cut off due to electronic image stabilization. So it works perfectly anyway. Well, at least as perfect as it can. Now back to my place. Oh boy, when I returned back and saw the footage on a big screen, imagine I realized there's still a very tiny vignetting in very corners, because I actually put the lens to 19mm, while 20mm is actually enough to get rid of vignetting totally if stacked, well, at least two filters stacked or using the stepping rings. All in all, the FREEWELL company guarantees this lens to work down up to 16 full frame millimeters, which is 10 millimeters on a crop sensor, say 1.6 with Canons that I use. And overall, the general advice is not to go below 20mm if you want to stack the filters or use the stepping rings on your other lenses. So if you want to stack the filters, use stepping rings, just go up with the longer focal length and starting from 20 millimeters and upwards, and don't go below that. But at 16 millimeters with the single filter, single base and single filter, it's totally fine. The company guarantees the 16 millimeter operation, and it's really true, and I've tested it. But then, just out of my curiosity, I've watched some other guys' reviews, and guys tested it on 15 and 14 millimeters, and it started giving vignettes. So you should not be using the lenses wider than 16 millimeters, at least with this particular set, with the Quick Swap M2 system. You shouldn't go wider than 10 millimeters on cropped systems and 16 millimeters on full frame, because it actually starts giving vignette. So in the longer focal length department, stacking filters go from 20 and above, and with a wide angle, to avoid vignettes, just don't go below 16 on full frame. And now let's conclude, and the conclusion is very easy. These filters build quality is excellent, and the optical quality is very, very good. It can have some very minor flaws, and what I'm talking about, there's just a couple of things. These lenses can give you very, very slight tint, so change in color, but this is really, really minor. Well, first, this is really minor comparing to some other dirt cheap filters that I've tested. Just watch this review of this versatile magnetic system, and I show you the comparison of color rendition between the very cheap filters and these FREEWELL filters. So they change color very, very slightly, and there is a premium products by FREEWELL that have the encryption true color on the box. So if you see true color by FREEWELL, it's not changing color, so it's the best optical quality that you can ever have, and it doesn't change color. But these more simple sets really change color, but very, very slightly. And you would hardly ever even notice it, and of course it will not spoil your experience in any way. So you can trust these colors, they mostly stay true to what you really see on your camera. And second, stacking filters and using the very long focal length can also spoil your picture quality very, very slightly. I've already showed you as well in this review that with the cheap filters on longer focal length, say I tested it on crop sensor camera at 200 millimeters, and the picture quality with cheap filters just turned unusable. It turned blurred and soft, totally unusable. But with these filters, even at such a long focal length, the picture really holds up. It also lacks and loses a little bit of sharpness, because it's just a simple physics. The more layered glass in front of the lens, actually the less optical quality there is, so it robs you of some light quality. But these are so high quality products, these optically, this glass, these FREEWELL materials are so good that you lose, I don't know, maybe about 5 or 10% of the sharpness at very long focal length, and at standard focal lengths, like at wide angle or medium telephoto 50 millimeters, 75, 80, 100 millimeters, you will not lose picture quality at all. You'll maybe lose a little bit of sharpness starting from 200, 300 millimeters upwards, and this loss is very, very tiny. So as I've told you, optically great performance. And the same comes with the stacking filters. With this system you can really stack the filters, and it will rob you of some light quality, but just in the tiniest amount, so don't bother about this question. The optical quality is excellent, and as I've told you earlier, you shouldn't be stacking filters or use any tricks on a wide angle, just use the single filter. This system is basically constructed to be used with single filters at very wide angles. So it's basically all I wanted to tell you. As with the previous iterations and previous versions, this is a really, really high quality product, and I'm totally satisfied with it. But I made myself clear that in my case, this is not what I need, because it doesn't have variable ND filters. This might be perfect for simple photography or for even more professional videography than mine, when you can actually use these stacked or fixed value ND filters if you have some other tricks and techniques up your sleeve. But it's not for me. At the same time, I was really, really satisfied and luckily surprised with this ring, and that this system actually works with lens hoods and it all is very nice and comfortable in operation. But as I've told you, I'm still waiting for another set to come to me, and that may be my dream set, for which I will probably be switching from all of this, you know, to that one set. Well, of course, if you like the review, please press like and leave a comment if you used any of these filters and what you think of it. Of course, subscribe to the channel, watch my shorts videos. And as my channel expands, of course, you're gonna be looking for live streams. I'm eager to do live streams on this channel, but just share this video if you liked it. If you want to see the live streaming, just share it with your friends. So let's build a community here, and we'll go live and talk in person. Well, thanks for watching. Paul Kretz was here with you. Use FREEWELL filters, try them out, they're great. Thanks. Bye.